Friday night saw 4 entertaining and to a large extent rather surprising matches with a couple of blowouts to accompany 2 much more competitive series. So in this video, as usual, I'm going to review yesterday's action and then look at how my predictions fared before giving my takes for the games later today. Day 2 of Stage 3's first week was kicked off by the intriguing matchup between the Paris Eternal, repping their dark alternate kit, and the Toronto Defiant in their language-inspired jersey. And as the teams came out onto the stage, there were 2 obvious changes to how the lineouts looked. On the side of the Paris, Bembes was returning to the starting main tank role, whilst for Toronto, the mid-season break rumours proved true themselves, with Gods and Sharik starting ahead of Envy and Yakman. Early on though, it was the new recruits for the Defiant who were enjoying themselves more, as despite the point flipping back and forth on Ruins Point, on the first control map Ilios, Toronto eventually secured it with a big 3k Gods Diva Bomb combined with Ivy Grav. This took the teams to Lighthouse, where again the competition was close, but it just felt like the Defiant were the team comfortable and in control over Paris at the time, thanks to some nice environmental boops and great sound barrier usage from 8 that gave them a more convincing round, giving Toronto an early 1-0 map lead in the series. However, heading into the assault map Paris, it was interesting to also note that the Eternal from the outset had been running Danier and Nico instead of Soon and Shadowburn. It also became apparent that with this being their home map, some extra work had been put in from the side to ensure victory. Paris on Paris set up a nasty bunker comp before the first point, which despite Toronto's best efforts, they just couldn't find a way to break through. This comp allowed Cruz to shine, as he had a very impressive performance on Baptiste, with great cooldown usage and immortality field timing that allowed Danier to rain terror down on the Defiant with his Bastion. In the end, their opponents struggled to even reach the point itself, as Paris full held. Despite this, however, it wasn't as if the Eternal used his position to blitz through to the point, as for the majority of their attack, they significantly struggled to get past Toronto's flexible Anawote setup, with Neko's Bionades particularly wreaking havoc. But as the timer hit overtime, Daniel Zarya started popping off, picking up 3 kills after using his Grav to finally get the Eternal over the line on their home map and level up the series 1-1 at the half. Returning on Hollywood, the even nature of this series showed itself as engagements ebbed back and forth, often ending up in long protracted teamfights, with both sides picking up kills within them. Paris opted into running Sombra Goats into the more regular 3-3 Goat setup from the Defiant, and whilst the sides remained even, the strength of EMP did allow the Eternal to pick up cleaner fights when used. They managed on their attack to push the payload to halfway through the final section, before they were finally stopped in part to God's Gravite, who up to now was really impressing me with his Diva play, even though I had a high opinion of Envy. However, on their own attack, Toronto looked sloppy and a little uncoordinated, which only ended up slowing them down. It took an age for them to take the first point, and this proved costly in the end, as Paris were able to wipe them during the final fight halfway through the second section, to win the map and take a 2-1 lead in the series. Havana would be the crucial 4th map, with the Eternal having their attack first. During it, they didn't look entirely comfortable. Thanks to a great performance from Finzi, they managed to, at the last minute, get past the first 2 checkpoints before Sharik hit a massive shatter at the end of the map to halt any more progress, and give the Defiant the win condition they needed to take this entertaining series to a Game 5. By comparison, Toronto's attack looked much cleaner and more practiced, as they withstanded Daniel Sombra and transported the cart to the final section rather quickly, with around 3.5 minutes left, still left in their time bank. With 2 minutes to go, they pushed it to within a couple of meters of their objective, before a Graviton shut them down. It therefore went down to one final teamfight that turned into a scrappy, never-ending brawl, with players dropping on both sides after using multitude of ultimates. And at first, it looked like the Defiant were just going to do enough. But the longer it went on, you could tell the respawn advantage for the Eternal was beginning to tip the scales in their favour, as they finally hit the knockout blow, with Grey coming in clutch on Widow to win the map, and thus the series 3-1. Upon reflection, I think the series highlighted that these teams were very evenly matched. Paris, despite their poor season so far, now have a chance to build upon a very positive performance, in which I thought their Sombra Goats and Bunker Comp looked very strong and practiced. For Toronto, meanwhile, this will be a disappointing result, but I thought Sharik, and especially Gods, were fitting in nicely. They just need to continue to improve upon their coordination, and also think of another strategy they can employ, as at times it did feel like they were one-dimensional, a little predictable. After this great back-and-forth series, I had hoped we'd see another, if Boston, in their clean third kit, could put in a peak performance against the London Spitfire, and their new pink kit, which annoyingly looks really good. Yet as the teams came out again, there were some changes, as Quartermain was starting in the main support position for London, instead of Nuss, but more perplexing was that Boston had benched Aimgod and Kelix for the support duo of Alamar and Persia. The uprising got off to a good start on Oasis, capturing the point first, to around 70%. But once London retook the point, they never looked back, Quatermain was being noticeably proactive and positive, with boops and kills, which alongside the Spitfire's tank line dominating, including the now normal sight of a Fury Gravit, led to London domination. It took the first round, before then dominating the second point that went 100-0, as it took the first map, which was a bad omen for what was to come. The match then moved on to Horizon Lunar Colony for Assault, where again Boston struggled. With just over a minute to go, after trading picks, it looked like they'd finally captured the first point, before a great sound barrier from Quatermain turned the fight around, allowing London to hold. He wasn't done here, however, as he killed Alamal, who was close to a sound barrier of his own at the beginning of the final fight, that derailed the uprising chances on attack, as they failed to capture the point. London's attack in reply took a while to get going, as Fusions and RCK managed to shut them down on a couple of occasions, but with a minute to go, a huge 3k bomb from Fury to combo with a grab from Prophet was a turning point that allowed them to go on to capture the point and take a 2-0 lead into the break. Iconwall again saw Boston struggle to get past London's defence for some time, with Prophet wreaking havoc on his opponents. But after a couple of team fights, Boston had taken the first point and were pushing the payload forward with some momentum. Then, just before the second checkpoint, with a minute left, Gesture hit a massive shatter that halted the push in its tracks. The Uprising did manage to get back and contest the point, but once again Quatermain proved to be the main man with an efficient sound barrier before picking up a couple of kills, one in environmental, as the Spitfire ended the enemy's push. Like on Horizon though, London had to work hard as Boston's defense proved resolute, especially from RCK, who ate Prophet's grab and picked up some nice Diva Bomb kills. Once again though, it came down to under a minute on the clock, just before the end, where a late Transcendence from Persia proved costly, as Boston were wiped, giving the Spitfire their third map win, and thus guaranteeing the series victory. The Uprising's attack on Dorado almost mirrored their own on Iconward, as they ended up being halted before the second checkpoint, and although for a short time they slowed London's own push, the Spitfire quickly gathered momentum, as they quickly finished their objective with plenty of time to spare, securing the 4-0 win in the process. Whilst not dominant, London showed their class and quality in picking up the 4-0 win, with their tank line in imperious form as usual, and personally I thought Quatermain was outstanding throughout the series with constant impact in teamfights. Boston meanwhile showed that whilst they can cause issues defensively, their attacks have not been great, and personally, whilst I'll give them a couple more matches to prove themselves, I think the biggest mistake the Uprising made was starting Alamal and Persia, who played poorly and during the match looked worse than AimGod and Kellex in the support position. Following this 4-0 series was another that looked destined for the same result, as the Houston Outlaws and the New York Excelsior took to the stage in their own third kits, but I think both looked really good. Ilias was the first map, and this prediction looked to be coming true, as the Excelsior easily, and in dominant fashion, took the Ruins round, and almost did the same on Well, getting 99%, before Muma and Linkser came in clutch, just to squeeze a win out of a teamfight and flip the point. But from here on, something strange started to happen. Just like with San Francisco, New York started playing very sloppily and uncoordinated, which meant they were often split up and could not follow up on ultimates. This was made most apparent by how often Animo was getting taken out, given how rare of an occurrence this usually is. Houston meanwhile looked disciplined and confident, leading them to shockingly win 100% and steal the Well round. Lighthouse was very even, but in the final team fight, with the Outlaws down to a 5v6, it looked like they'd fall. But again, inexplicably, the Excelsior separated from one another, allowing Boink to get a great boop off the map onto Mano, which propelled them back into the fight that would win them the point, and shockingly the map, for a very surprising early map lead. Heading into Horizon Lunar Colony, Mecha was subbed out for Sabiobi, and this decision proved to be game-changing, as on Sombra he proved to be the difference. Houston struggled on their attack, but on their last push it looked like they might be able to just take the point, before a huge EMP from SBB stopped them in their tracks, as New York held the first point. For their defense, the Outlaws held for quite some time with a triple DPS Sarissa setup, which had held the Excelsior for a long time, before at last picks came through from Nene and SBB to pave the way for them taking the point and tying the series at one apiece at half-time break. As they came back out onto Numbani, SBB remained in the side and helped New York, alongside Mano, albeit unconvincingly, complete the map in overtime. Houston meanwhile came out of the blocks energised on their own attack with a triple DPS comp that ripped the Excelsior apart, with Jake playing a pivotal role on Farah. They reached the final section in 2 minutes, and although they were then held up for a while, their Sombra Goats eventually completed the map with 2 minutes left, which let them have an extra attack on the map. And indeed, thanks to a couple of crucial picks from Jake on Hanzo, they managed to do this to give them a 2-1 lead in the series, and the upset alarm bells began to ring across the league. Coolmat and Jake both looked great on Gibraltar, helping them to finish the map with a minute and a half left to continue their momentum, but SBB again on Sombra looked dominant, bettering his opponent's attack, as New York finished with 3 minutes left in the time bank, and he once more was critical in ending Houston's second attack to just before the second checkpoint. It was only after they isolated Muma on their own attack were the Excelsior able to win the map and take us to a very unexpected Game 5. However, this was a map too far for the Outlaws, with Mano and SBB having enough. With 2 dominant one-sided rounds on Oasis that settled nerves and gave New York an extraordinarily hard-fought 3-2 victory. Houston surprised me a lot, but I think they finally showed their potential when they're coordinated, and as I've been saying for some time now, the success they can have if they primarily run multiple DPS and Sombra Goats comps. For the Excelsior meanwhile, I will, like the shock, give them the benefit of the doubt by saying they looked rusty after the mid-season break. But this is now the 3rd consecutive regular season match where they've looked really weak, which is a cause of concern. With the ability to call on Sabiobi, who is a phenomenal Sombra, it's now a very useful asset as well. Concluding this first week of Stage 3's second day of action was the interesting fixture of the LA Gladiators and their nice third kit versus the Dallas Fuel and their honestly slightly underwhelming alternate jersey. What was interesting about this series was that it followed a very similar pattern throughout, as OGE and Raw went head to head in a brilliant, hotly contested duel on Reinhardt, and it was normally the winner of this that then propelled his team forward. But Oasis made it apparent that whilst the pair were even, it looked like in every other single position, the Gladiators just held the edge. They took a 1-0 map lead in the match. On Paris, LA utilised a very clever aggressive Bastion comp to annihilate Dallas' bunker comp, once again showing how amazing their coaches are coming up with clever and inventive strategies, as they went on to finish the map before Shawfall's Bastion was a strong pillar which halted the Fuel's own attack time and time again, as he and his team full held for a 2-0 lead at half. After the break, I thought the support duo of Big Goose and Shaz were exceptional and the major reasons behind the Gladiators finishing both Hollywood and Havana, although Dallas would have been disappointed given that both times this was in overtime. In their replies, the Fuel just seemed to run out of gas towards the end, with overall just less clutch plays and an over-reliance on their ultimates, OG to win teamfights, as they were halted twice, giving LA the 4-0 win at the end of the series. The Gladiators showed that their last stage wasn't a fluke, and they are definitely a side pursuing a playoff spot this stage, despite their heart strength and schedule. Whereas I think Dallas received a reality check, that they aren't even close to the top of the pack right now, and too often are leaning on and relying on OGE to carry them, which isn't sustainable for future success. Now in predictions, it'd be fair to say, we're a bit off yesterday, as I luckily finished 2 out of 4 to take this week to 5-3. I thought the first series would be close, and in the end I just fell on the wrong side of the coin, which is fair play to Paris. Ironically, I said in my prediction yesterday of Boston that they'd either sneak it or be stomped, but I chose wrong, although a lot of that I think is down to the strange decision to run Alabama Persia, who were very poor yesterday. Houston gave me a scare against New York, like probably everyone else, and Dallas were really underwhelming, even though I thought they'd lose. As for my predictions for later today, the first match is potentially the best series of the day, as the Hangzhou Spark play the Philadelphia Fusion. Given how much benefit of the doubt I've given them, I think even with Gouchway likely bodying Sado, the Philly will just manage to do it somehow in a 3-2 victory. The Vancouver Titans then play the Atlanta Reign, which is a series of many questions following Atlanta's match against the Shock, but I still can't bet against the unbeaten just yet, so I'm thinking 3-1 Titans. The other 2 games could see some surprises, but I think both Seoul and Valiant had the edge and will beat Guangzhou and Chengdu respectively by scores of 3-1 also. And with that, I'd like to thank you for watching my Stage 3, Week 1, Day 2 review. I might be away tomorrow, so my next video will probably be on Monday, but I'll be posting updates on my Twitter, which I'll post in the description and comments below, so follow me there if you want to be certain. Otherwise, if you enjoyed, please be sure to like and subscribe for this continuing Overwatch League coverage and content, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekends.